The first musical instruments were created through the same process that led to the creation of many other significant inventions by accident. When our ancestors first began experimenting with, molding and manipulating the material world around them, they had recently come to the realization that commonplace materials could be used to make intriguing melodies. Their groundbreaking works have developed into the one-of-a-kind hybrids of science, engineering, and art that are found in the modern world. In this video, we'll pull back the curtain and take a look at the manufacturing process behind a few of today's most popular instruments, grand pianos. The sound that is produced by grand pianos is noted for being complex and multi-layered, and the instruments themselves do not differ in this regard. 18 layers of wood are used in the construction of a grand piano. After being air-dried for up to 2 years, the layers are then twisted and cemented together to form the piano's signature curved frame. In the meantime, the steel strings are being held in place by hundreds of pins that have been fastened onto the soundboard, which is a diaphragm that amplifies vibration. These strings collectively carry about 20 tons of stress, which is roughly equivalent to the weight of 14 automobiles. A tuning wrench is used to physically apply this tension to the string. The white piano keys were previously made of ivory, but today all 88 keys are made of wood or plastic instead. Ivory was once used to manufacture the white keys. A sound is produced by pressing a key, which causes a hammer to strike the string that corresponds to that key from below. The increased string tension in the lower register of the piano is responsible for the instrument's lower pitch. Technicians meticulously balance the keys using counterweights to ensure their future pianists will find the keyboard to be comfortable to play. After that, these parts are put together and given a coat of paint. The construction of a grand piano takes more than a year to finish, but the decades of happiness and musical expression that ensue are more than worth the effort. The tubas. When you're looking for the tuba section in any orchestra, you won't have any trouble finding it at all. The huge size of these brass instruments, together with their low tones and polished surfaces, are some of their defining characteristics. In spite of their weighty appearance, tubas weigh just about 25 to 30 pounds since they are made of a light copper and zinc alloy. This is the reason why tubas are used in brass bands. Each component of this metal instrument, including the valves, mouthpiece, bell, and main body, is produced independently. A tube of brass is heated, shaped by machines, and then regularly submerged in acid to remove oxide that is formed as a result of the heating process. All of these steps comprise the construction of the body. The brass has been bent into a design that contributes to the establishment of its traditional tone. In order to flare the bell, methods such as spinning and hammering are utilized. After that, pistons and valves are coupled together. When these valves are opened, there is a change in the flow of air through the horn, which causes a corresponding change in pitch. The mouthpiece is fashioned from molten metal that has been cooled while being compressed. To move from one note to the next, a tubist will use both their mouth and the valves on their instrument. At long last, the completed tuba is given a cleaning, a polishing, and an electroplating with either a silver or gold alloy to provide some individuality and character. The clarinets. The mouthpiece, barrel, upper joint, lower joint, and bell are the 5 components that make up the most popular type of soprano B-flat clarinet. Clarinets can be found in a variety of configurations and dimensions. Ebonite, a type of dense rubber, is used in the production of the mouthpiece. The bodies of student instruments are often fashioned from synthetic resin, whereas the bodies of professional instruments are fashioned from strong African blackwood. After the timbre has been cut down, it is first sawn into logs and then dried in kilns. This piece of log, which is known as a billet, is put on a borer. A hole is drilled all the way through the middle, running lengthwise. The diameter of the hole plays a significant role in defining the sound produced by the instrument. Following the drilling of the hole, the billet is subsequently spun on a lathe and flattened into round cylinders. These are followed by the cutting of the cylinders into joints. The diameters of the tone holes at predetermined intervals apart are standardized using a machine. The keys are made by stamping out a molten metal and then having pads attached to them. The pads are subsequently affixed to each key by hand using glue, and the springs are subsequently fitted to the keys. A completely airtight seal is achieved by meticulously adjusting the pads in the closure. Reeds are not only a different purchase but also a separate manufacturing process due to the fact that they are just temporary and only last for a few weeks. A cane plant is honed into the desired form by slicing and shaving it. When the clarinetist blows into the instrument, air is forced between the mouthpiece and the reed, which causes the reed to vibrate and produce sound. When everything is said and done, the clarinet will have the most dynamic range of any wind instrument. The violins. The most important part of the symphony is undoubtedly the violin section, which serves as its beating heart. Since they are responsible for playing the melody in so many orchestral pieces, violins typically make up the largest section in the orchestra. Luthiers are people who create string instruments like violins and lutes. The term luthier comes from the French word luth, which means lute. The first thing that needs to be done is choose the pieces of plywood. Spruce and maple are the two types of wood that are most commonly used by luthiers, since they are both sturdy, lightweight, and easy to work with. The sides of the box are formed by steaming thin strips of wood, then bending them into shape using a mold. The top and bottom surfaces have a pattern cut into them, and channels are gouged out along the border of the edge all the way around. Purfling is a thin strip of wood that is layered 3 times and is inlaid into the gouge for the sake of decoration and to avoid cracking. The wood is allowed to breathe while it vibrates thanks to sound holes that have been deliberately positioned. The next step is to lacquer, polish, and finally dry the wooden frame. After installing the fingerboard, bridge, and 4 strings, notches are cut into the fingerboard to hold the strings in place. At long last, a tailpiece that will serve to secure the other end of the strings is attached. Individuals as well as factories, ranging from the smallest instrument manufacturer to the largest, have been responsible for the production of instruments throughout history. Small enterprises with only a handful of highly competent staff and a sole proprietor have been successful in acquiring the most precious instruments. Large companies sometimes have better options to split the work of its employees, with more experienced staff focused on the most specialized jobs. People have been creating music ever since the beginning of human history. The human voice was one of the oldest known musical instruments. Over the course of human history, individuals started fashioning instruments from natural materials such as wood, bone, and skin. It's conceivable that these ancient instruments were employed in religious rites as well as for narrating stories. The technology required to create musical instruments advanced alongside the rise of many civilizations. There are now a wide variety of instruments available, ranging from straightforward percussion instruments to intricate stringed instruments, and there are a virtually infinite number of methods to prepare them. So this is the end of our today's video. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.